Welcome to Explain America. This is your host, Kyle Becker. We have more classless rhetoric from the Radical Democratic Party, and one of its most prominent offenders has spoken up once again at the worst possible time. I'm talking about Jasmine Crockett, the congresswoman from the Dallas, Texas area, who is apparently on her way to being redistricted out of office. Let's have hope that that is what happens, because her words are beyond the pale, and her insult of Charlie Kirk on the day of his memorial, well, it crosses the red line. But before we get into this story, please like, share, and comment at Explain America. Join us. We appreciate your support for common sense journalism. Jasmine Crockett, she is race baiting once again in the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's assassination and on the day of his memorial. And she continues to commit the egregious sin of twisting the words of Charlie Kirk, deceptively framing what he stood for, and smearing him in the wake of his death when he can't even defend himself. Well, she appeared on CNN with Dana Bash, and this so-called journalist had nothing to say to Jasmine as she spouted off hateful rhetoric and vitriol and just plain ignorance about Charlie Kirk. That was even after showing her a clip of her incendiary rhetoric. So let's take a look at this clip.
Let me ask you, because I do want to play a couple of statements that you made earlier this year.
Okay. Unfortunately, we have someone that is occupying the White House, and as far as I'm concerned, he is an enemy to the United States. They want to show that they are loyal to this, I don't even know what to call him. I've called him so many things, but this wannabe Hitler for sure.
And to be clear, the president has attacked, other people have attacked you in his orbit, maybe not him personally. But do you have a responsibility as an elected official not to raise the temperature, but rather lower the temperature, particularly when there are people out there who listen to elected officials all over the place who are not well, who use that as a way to instigate the political violence that you are calling out?
I think that my responsibility is to be transparent and to be honest. And the reality is that we are living in a time in which this administration and this regime is not interested in making sure that people understand history. We need to understand why they are so problematic. And so I am using that language because it is accurate language. When we see the consolidation of power, when we see them trying to chill speech of jokesters, when we're seeing all of this, that is a playbook out of Hitler, and I won't deny it. Like, these are the facts. But one of the things that I've never done that the president has done consistently is called specifically for violence. He has said, oh, beat that one up. He has said those types of things. We know that Charlie Kirk was saying things about who should live and who should die. I have never said those kinds of things. And I think that those things are the ones that are really, really dangerous. And even still, some of that will still be protected. We know that we still have laws that are on the book that certain speech is not protected, that it does cross over when you are inciting violence, such as what we saw on January 6th. When you are doing what we consider to be a terroristic threat of some sort, where it's a matter of, I'm not just saying it, but I have the apparent ability to carry that out. But me laying out historical facts, just like they don't want to talk about the fact that slavery was real in this country and that my people were enslaved and dragged and raped and abused, and they don't want to account for any of that. They don't believe in reparations. No, I think it is okay for me to understand history and communicate in a very clear way about why we should feel as if there is a concern. And when we swear an oath, which is what that first clip was, we swear an oath to the Constitution to protect against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And so if there is someone that is evidencing themselves, such as the president, who is going out and says, yes, I will take a $400 million plane from a foreign government, or is engaged in receiving crypto that we cannot track in exchange for, say, giving away chips to Saudi Arabia. No, we absolutely need to understand how these things could cause us harm. Or when he's cozying up to somebody like Vladimir Putin, it's not only a problem for us, but it's a problem for our allies. When you have somebody like Poland that is like, yeah, this is what Russia's up to, and the president is like, oh, that may have just been a mistake. We need to understand what all his business dealings are, even with Russia, because that has the potential of putting us in harm's way.
Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, thank you so much for being here. Nice to see you.
Good to see you too.
Well, Jasmine Crockett has news coming that not everybody on CNN welcomes her ignorant and spiteful rhetoric on the day of Charlie Kirk's memorial. Scott Jennings spoke up and just dropped the hammer on her on CNN, really embarrassing her, putting her words into context, and showing what a classless fool this person really is.
Who are there. Appreciate it. The House overwhelmingly passed a resolution on Friday to honor the life and legacy of Charlie Kirk after that assassination last week. The measure passed by 310 to 58. Democrats were heavily split on the issue. The resolution condemns his death and political violence and hails the conservative activist as a courageous American patriot. I want to discuss with CNN senior political commentator Scott Jennings and CNN chief political analyst David Axelrod. Hello to you both. Thank you so much for being here. I wanted to start on that resolution because, to me, it is kind of a window into the way that politicians in both parties are grappling with this moment that we are in, not just leading into the memorial, but the moment after the horrible assassination of Charlie Kirk. Markwayne Mullin was on State of the Union this morning. He is a huge ally of President Trump. He was a friend of Charlie Kirk's. He's going to the funeral today. He brought up with me how upset he was that Democrats voted against that resolution. Afterwards, I spoke to Jasmine Crockett, Democrat of Texas. She was one of the 58 to vote no. Listen to what he said and her reason after that.
The same resolution that had Charlie Kirk's name on, you had 58 representatives vote no, 38 voted present, 22 chose not to vote. That is silent. So you had 118 individuals that didn't condemn it because
Senator,
why?
Get to that,
because of hypocrisy over both sides.
When I saw the no votes, there were only 2 Caucasians. For the most part, the only people that voted no were people of color, because the rhetoric that Charlie Kirk continuously put out there was rhetoric that specifically targeted people of color. And so it is unfortunate that even our colleagues could not see how harmful his rhetoric was, specifically to us.
Scott Jennings?
Well, she's lying. I mean, Charlie Kirk targeted nobody. He was not racist in any way. I've listened to hours and hours and hours and hours of Charlie Kirk debates and talks, and have been with Charlie Kirk and did events with Charlie Kirk and knew Charlie Kirk. There wasn't a racist bone in his body. To say that he was continuously targeting people of color is nothing but a malicious smear on the very day that people are remembering Charlie and he's going to be laid to rest. And so I think we need to combine the no votes on the resolution, and then you look at the leading Democratic voices like Ilhan Omar and Jasmine Crockett, who've gone out to smear Charlie before he's even had his funeral. When I hear people say we need to come together and both sides need to turn down the rhetoric, you know, a lot of the people saying that need to look inward right now. I was shocked at that. Well, I guess I shouldn't say I'm shocked by her, but I was a little stunned by what happened this morning.
What do you think about what Scott Jennings had to say? Because I believe that he put it perfectly, and it's good to hear a voice of reason on CNN to put everything into relief, because to be honest with you, almost the entire network looks foolish and irresponsible and reckless, and they're fueling hate and division at a time when Americans need answers, they need clarity, they need understanding, and they need compassion for one another. So that starts with being able to listen to one another and to humble yourselves so that you're not coming off as an arrogant and uninformed idiot. And I think Scott Jennings is really throwing into relief all of the absolutely irresponsible rhetoric and misreporting that's going on in CNN. And let's hope that he can help trigger a domino effect where there can be some reforms and they can bring on more sensible spokespersons for I wouldn't even say conservative point of view, but just a common sense point of view. So what do you think about Jasmine Crockett's race-baiting rhetoric? What do you think about her smears of Charlie Kirk on the day of his memorial? And what do you think about CNN? Do you think it can ever be reformed? Because I don't know, but at least there's hope. There's at least one voice on the network that can speak truth to lies. Thank you for watching Explain America.